All right, everyone, we're gonna play a game. So I'm gonna need you all to stand up. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna play a game called Is It From Lamentations or Is It a Taylor Swift Lyric? And as soon as it loads, I'm gonna have you guys, if you think that the words on the screen are coming from the Book of Lamentations, you're gonna go over to that side of the room. And if you think they're from a Taylor Swift song, you're gonna go to that side of the room. So just give it a sec here. Having a little technical difficulties tonight, but it's gonna be a good night. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's do this for just a couple minutes here. All right. Like I said, Lamentations versus Taylor Swift lyric.
All month, we've been learning about untangling truth, and today's been no different. Let's find out if we can untangle some verses from the Bible. Real truth from some pop song lyrics in a game called Taylor Swift or Lamentations. We'll see a phrase on the screen and have to guess if the phrase is lyrics from a Taylor Swift song or true words from the Book of Lamentations in the Bible. We'll only have 15 seconds to read the slide and determine our answer. Are you ready? I'm gonna need your help today. So let's get started. All right, our first one.
All right. I lied to you. Taylor that way, Lamentations that way.
Teardrops on my guitar. It was like one of her first hits. Oh. Hey, Lamentations chapter 1 verse 2. It's at the beginning of the book. I don't know how I missed that. All right, let's move on. See if I can get a few more of these correct. The next one says, your knives and swords and weapons that you used against me. Gosh, I thought the last one was Taylor Swift and I was wrong, but I really feel like this one's Taylor Swift.
Kate, what song's it from? What song's it from? All right.
Chapter 2, verse 11.
Oh, we lost the video.
It has to be. It is.
All right.
It's from her song.
All right. Let's cut it there. Let's do some worship. All right, let's make sure we can get these screens back real quick. Sorry about that, everybody. It's one of those nights.
Mean. How'd you do?
Got the screen back? All right, let's do a countdown just for fun. Countdown from 10 with me. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's get those hands going. We need to bring it back to Jesus tonight. All right, if you know it, sing it. If you know how to sign it, sign it. Here we go. When you move, darkness runs for cover. When you move, no one's turned away. 'Cause where you are, fear turns into praise. Where you are, no heart's left unchanged. All right, come and move. So come, move, let justice roll like a river.
outcast finds a family. When you move, the orphan finds a home. Lord, here we are. Oh, teach us to love mercy. With humble hearts, we bow down at your throne. Sing, come and move. So come, move, let justice roll like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Sing that again, come and move. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations. Oh, King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. Sing again, King of all. Oh, King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. To you alone. Come and move. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Come and move. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. King of all generations. Oh, King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. King of all generations. King of all generations, let every tongue and nation surrender all to you alone. You alone. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Sing that one more time. So come, move, let justice roll on like a river. Let worship turn into revival. Lord, lead us back to you. Father in heaven, we thank you that even with all the distractions in the world, with things that might not go the way we plan, that we can always turn back to you. Turn our hearts to worship tonight. Turn our hearts toward putting you above all things, whether it be distractions, whether it be the troubles in our lives. Help us to bring you at the center of all things. It's in your mighty name that we pray. Amen. You guys may be seated. I got a few quick announcements. We're going to do them at the start of the service so we're not distracted at the end. Just send kids. Am I sending the... No, I'm kidding. There's a teen talk this weekend. Parents, if you have a child between the ages of 10 and 14, we're doing an event where you can give them the talk in a church environment where you might be more comfortable with someone from a faith background or a faith-based perspective, giving them giving you guidance on a tough conversation in both your life as a parent and their life as a kid. So if you want to be a part of that, feel free to sign up on our website. Like I said, that's February 4th. That's this Sunday from 4 to 7:30. There's also Josh. Where's Josh at? He's busy. Josh is busy. Don't worry about Josh. He's doing an ice fishing trip. If you've never been ice fishing, or if you have been ice fishing with Josh, it's a blast. It's February 10th from 7 to 4. If you are interested in that, feel free to talk to Josh or any one of your youth leaders. They can get you in contact with him. Or is there a sign up on our website, Tim? Nope. Not yet? Okay, just talk to Josh. Catholic Connections, if you guys are coming from a Catholic background, whether it be parents or kids, we're doing an event on the 25th. That's another Sunday right after the service, where we're just talking about kind of bridging the gaps between a Catholic background or Catholic faith and a Lutheran or non-denominational background here. So if you're interested in that, again, sign up on our website for that. There's Art of Marriage classes that you can sign up for on our website, same with parousia, that sort of thing. And if you want to give offering, we have black boxes outside the door there, or you can give on our website or text 84321 to set up an automatic withdrawal system there. So we encourage you to do that. It's part of our giving here. But that's all I got for you. We're going to play a game now. No? What am I missing?
And now, and then read the script.
Okay, well, you made me... This night is going very well planned. Welcome, everybody, to an episode of Old School, where we answer the question, was it tougher back in the day? Please welcome to the stage Marvin, Chester, and Cecil.
Move faster.
Come on, you can't rush greatness.
Come on. We ain't got all year left.
Yeah.
Before I'm gone.
I got you.
Don't bend the back. Don't.
You already doubled the length of this skin. Okay. Well, you know, welcome to Old School. When we talk about whether it was tougher back in the day. Back in my day, you know, we introduced ourselves. We didn't need some fancy-pantsy feller with a microphone.
Yeah, back in my day, we didn't have no fancy names like what's a Karsten? Where is that?
What?
Where was Karsten back in my day? Where did T come from? What's the point of that?
Yeah. What in the world is a Mitch? It sounds like something you do before you use the bathroom. Back in my day, we didn't have no Mitch. We had Mitch.
That's right. Real man's name.
Mitch. And look at you, young man. Tie. That's a verb, not a name.
I got more of those in my closet. Oh, man, back in my day, we had real magazines.
That's right.
Not this fancy computer mumbo jumbo. I mean, look, a real man, one with the shark. That was in the 60s in Cuba. I remember that. Now, that's a real magazine.
That's right. And back in our day, we didn't need no Uber Eats. We walked everywhere. We walked 20 miles up to school. We walked 40 miles back uphill. And we walked through blizzards, and we walked through nuclear winters.
I enjoyed it so much.
In my day, we couldn't call Mommy to pick us up.
No,
we just hoped she remembered she even dropped us off in the first place. And we liked it.
Yeah. And back in my day, we had no fancy shooter light video games. We had to use our creative imagination.
Right.
We played dodgeball with rocks.
Yes.
And we liked it. Loved it.
And back in our day, we didn't need no helmets when we rode our bikes. No,
just jump off.
We jumped off cliffs and broke our skulls like a true man.
Yeah, we liked it.
Very much. In my day, we didn't have no special diets, lactose, gluten, government conspiracy.
Yeah, administration.
No.
Yeah.
We ate a bowl of nails for breakfast. without any milk. And
I loved it. And in my day, we didn't have snow back then. We have snow angels. We just climbed up to the loft and made asbestos angels. Much easier to clean up and a lot warmer. We liked it.
back in our day, we have no powers school to check our grades. No. I failed about 50 classes. Why? Third grade were the best 5 years of my life.
Mine too.
And
We liked it.
And in my day, when we went to the dentist, they would pull our teeth without Novocaine.
And we didn't. I actually kind of hated that
All right,
part.
well,
I
gentlemen,
like
thank you for that. I think we're out of time.
That actually hurts a lot.
We're out of time. Get out of here. We'll hopefully see you on the next episode of Old School. So give it up for Cecil, Marvin, and Chester.
Come on,
I'll take y'all on. I don't need any. I'm gonna cryo freeze my brain. I'm gonna live to 3,000.
Missy, you can't rush greatness. I thought
Hey, man,
that.
Guys, the
that was
school's
faster
All
than
right.
Glacier.
Y'all have fun at your fancy worship.
Oh, where's
I'm
the
going to
bathroom at?
bed.
Showing myself.
And we liked it, right? That was special. Thanks, guys. That was special. That was definitely like a special thing
It was jumping
that you did for us. Thanks.
and jumping.
Well, good evening, Inspire. My name is Rob Pesky, and I'm so glad you could be here tonight. I do believe if you are here in this room or watching this service online sometime, that God's called you here for a reason. And it might be for a prayer, it might be for a song, it might be for something during the sermon, it might be for a really dumb skit, I don't know. Or it might even be just to be a good friend to the person sitting next to you. But I'm glad you're here, and I encourage you to look for whatever it is God has for you tonight. So, as we get started, if you don't know, my official title at Inspire is Pastor in Training. Okay, I'm working on it. I'm in seminary and learning what it means to be a pastor and all that stuff. And that basically means I'm making this up as I go. So cross your fingers, it'll be fine. A couple of weeks ago, Pastor Randy asked if I wanted to preach tonight. And I'm like, I'm like the new guy. I'm like eager. I'm like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, let's do it. I'm in. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, bring it on. Let's do it. And that was good. But I said that before I said the next thing. And that's important because I said yes. And then I said, what's the topic that night? And in that moment, I learned an important lesson. If someone asks you to preach, you ask what's the topic before you say yes or no. You with me? And so I said, what's the topic? And Pastor Randy smiled and goes, oh, the topic is suffering. And then I'm sure he smiled and skipped away, maybe whistling. I'm not sure. I was kind of spinning. I was like, cool, suffering. Yeah, cool, I can do that. Suffering, yeah. That's definitely not like a topic that people have struggled for 1,000 years to talk about and understand. Yeah, no, that's fine. That'll be a good first one for him. Cool, this will be fun. And as if that weren't enough, as he was walking away, he said, oh, by the way, could you do Good Friday also? And I was still kind of like spinning over this suffering thing. I'm like, yeah, sure. Wait, what? And then he said, thanks, and he shut the office door. Okay, so my job now is to talk about suffering and the day that Jesus died. And I'm terrified I'm becoming the depressing pastor. Okay, you guys, I'm really fun. I am. Not everything I do has to be sad. Okay, it's just this is what happens when you're in this. So anyway, I'm going to do my best. I think it's going to be good, and I'm going to try to keep it kind of light and keep us moving. But anyway, let's do this. Suffering. Can we all agree that we suffer from time to time? Okay, if you haven't ever suffered, please stand up. There's the door. You don't belong here with us. Suffering is kind of like part of life. That's kind of the point of the skit, if there was a point. It's like, it feels like our life is built around suffering. And whenever something bad happens to you, it's like the first thing someone says, well, that's nothing compared to my day. We had nails for breakfast or whatever it is. And I think that's kind of interesting because suffering is like built into our lives. And I think as a Christian, suffering's kind of an oxymoron. You guys know what oxymoron is? It's like a big fancy English term, oxymoron. Okay, you got it? Too slow. An oxymoron is when two seemingly opposite things get put together. Does that make sense? Yeah, I know you were. But I have a microphone, so I said it first, okay? Like an example is bittersweet. How can something be bitter and sweet? Doesn't make sense. Big shrimp, is that what you said? Jumbo shrimp, perfect. You got it. That's an oxymoron. And here's why I think suffering seems like it's an obvious oxymoron for a Christian. Christians believe that God is completely good. We also believe that God is all-powerful. If God is good and all-powerful, why do bad things happen? Have you ever asked yourself that? I know I have, and I think it's a real common. If you've never asked yourself that or been asked that, I would imagine someday down the road you will either ask that or be asked. Why do we suffer is a very common question that people ask, and I get that. I've asked that question myself, and it's not a simple question, but I'm going to try to give you about 3 simple answers about reasons that I think we have suffering. I'm going to do it quickly because I think there's actually a better question that we can ask than why do we suffer, but we'll get there in a minute. So why do we suffer? To me, there's 3 reasons, and the first one, and I think one of the main reasons, is that suffering is some of the best evidence we have that sin is real. When we consider the idea that God is all-powerful and good, and suffering is real, we cannot separate the concept from the fact that we're living in a world that isn't the way God intended it to be. Does that make sense to everybody? In order for us to truly love God, he had to give us a choice. In the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve made the wrong choice, and sin entered into the world. God loved us so much that he was willing to give us a choice. We could do it his way, or we could do it our way. And we chose our way. We were deceived by Satan and ate the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And before we get all judgmental on Adam and Eve, because I think that's kind of easy to do, for messing it all up, it's important to take a good look in the mirror. I think if you're honest with yourself, you'll find that you have made the exact same choice in your life, maybe even today. It might not have been so obvious as the Adam and Eve story, but we choose our will over God's all the time. In a world where sin exists, the devil has power. I think about that old stereotypical cartoon thing where there's a devil on one shoulder and there's the angel on the other shoulder and someone's trying to make a decision. And I think it's fascinating because in these cartoons, it's like the devil is always offering you something you want, something you might even say is good. And the angel on your shoulder is almost always offering something you don't want or something that doesn't seem good. And we do that a lot. We even talk about it that way. We say the devil is tempting us with something. It's like, oh man, I really want that car. The devil's tempting me. Well, and then when something bad happens in our life, the first question we ask is, why is God doing this thing? How come we have substituted what we know to be like a source of all evil as the thing that's offering us good things, and the thing that we think of as the source of all good, and that's responsible for the bad things? We kind of blame God. There's a famous movie quote, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. When we talk about why we have suffering, we have to remember that for a time, the devil has power and will use it to torture you whenever he can. When we face suffering in this world, we should be aware that it likely doesn't come from God. He may allow it, but I think most of the time, it wasn't his plan and certainly wasn't his first choice. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm trying to say that the world we live in now is sort of like a world at war. We know that Jesus has won the war. He died for us on the cross. But until he comes back to make all things new, there are still battles going on. And sometimes there's going to be injuries and there's going to be casualties in that until that final day. The next reason I think God allows suffering is that he knows it's a really, really good way to teach us. Have you ever heard the word humble? Okay, you know what the word humble means? He's not listening anymore. He's like, humble? You got it? Yeah? Too slow, I'm going to the next slide. Okay. One of my favorite quotes about humility is C.S. Lewis. Randy, you're welcome. Yeah. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. It's this idea that, you think of yourself rightly. I heard this quote somewhere, and I don't know where I heard it. Humility is thinking of yourself rightly. I put someone smarter than me said it. I don't know where it came from, but I remember hearing that somewhere. It isn't, I think sometimes when we talk about humility, people think it's like putting yourself down a little bit. And that's not completely accurate. It's not necessarily thinking poorly of yourself, although sometimes it is. It's knowing what you are capable of and where you belong. For instance, I'm a good drummer. not the greatest drummer who's ever lived, but I'm good. A long time ago, when I was in high school, I was first chair in All-State my junior year. Yes. Thank you, Randy. Thank you. Yeah. Then my senior year, you guys, I made the first ever All-State jazz band. Like, pretty good. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And then I went to college to study music, and I had this brilliant teacher. His name is Scott Prebis. You can hear him on the radio. And Scott Prebis was a master at using suffering to teach me things. Okay? And I say that with all the love in the world because at the time it was kind of miserable, but in the long run it was really good for me. And it wasn't always pleasant, but he did that. I don't think that God causes all the suffering in our lives, but he certainly isn't going to waste it. Sometimes when we suffer, God allows it because it will teach us to be the people he made us to be. He will use suffering to humble us and guide us. If you need proof of this, look at Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat from the Bible. You guys remember that story? Joseph, as a young boy, has dreams of being great and having dreams of his brothers and even his father bowing down to him. Seems like a good deal. And then he gets sold into slavery. And then he works his way to the top of like the slavery food chain, and then he goes to jail for a crime he didn't commit. And then he works his way all the way to the top of the prison system, where he's like running the prison even though he's a prisoner. And the people that he helped along the way completely forgot about him. And he spends decades in this before finally Pharaoh needs him and calls him up and he becomes second in command. And so I think it's a great example of how God uses suffering to teach you and prepare you to be the person that you're supposed to be. The third reason I think God allows suffering is that he uses it to test us. I don't think this is always the case, but I think sometimes God strips away what we are comfortable with to give us a chance to show our true selves. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do not like this answer. I don't like it. I like standing up here and talking about a God who loves you and cares for you and died for us and wants us to be in heaven. Standing up here and telling you that the same God who loves you enough to die for you will also put you through the ringer is a lot harder for me to talk about. I don't like it, but I can't just clip the parts of God I don't like because that puts me in his place and I don't belong there. If you doubt that God tests us, I would encourage you to read a book in the Bible. It's called Job. It looks like Job. It's not Job, it's Job. It's basically a story of how God lets Satan test a perfectly good man by ruining his life. It's a hard book to read, and I think it's an even harder book to understand. But if you don't believe me, believe what it says in the Bible. God will test us in this life. And often those tests involve some suffering. So, there. Rob Pesky's 3 reasons for suffering. Suffering as well as sin in the world. Suffering is used to teach us. Suffering can be a test. Boom. Nailed it. Thank you. Oh, this is great. I'm getting a lot of positive reinforcement from you guys. I appreciate that. That's nice. Here's the problem. Nobody cares. Especially if you are suffering, everything I just said is a waste of time. Kids, if you go to school tomorrow and you've got a friend who comes up to you and says, oh, this thing is bad and I've been suffering in some way or another, and you smile and you say something like, well, I guess God's trying to test you or teach you something. I'm guessing this friend may test or teach you something with their fist in your face. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's bad to know why we suffer, but if you're suffering, why doesn't really help us. Like, you just don't care, especially if you are suffering. I think a better question to ask is, how do we suffer? How do you get through it? How do you deal with suffering? We know suffering is coming our way. If you are alive, suffering is going to be part of your life. When it's real suffering, like when your child is sick, like really, really sick, or like when maybe your parents won't stop fighting, or when there's a car accident and a friend who is full of life and joy and goodness is just gone in a second. When suffering is real, how do we manage? How do we get through that? This I think I can help you with. Anyone ever heard of the blues? The blues, okay. It's a type of music. Bubba,
I know the
you ever heard of the blues?
Got them bad.
You got the blues? Could you
Bad.
give us a little bit of this so we're all on the same page here? We know what the blues is.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
loves me, but my mother, she might be jiving me too.
Oh, it's the blues. There you go.
Right.
Got it.
This is about your mama. Nobody loves me but your mama.
Yeah.
Oh, but she might be jiving me
She
too.
might be jiving too. Yeah.
Well, now, why you see me acting so funny, baby? When you do the things you do.
Bubba and the boys.
That's blue.
Blues. Nobody loves me but my mama. And she might be jiving too. It's the blues. The blues is a whole genre of music that exists because life stinks. And why would people listen to this? It's one of the most popular forms of music in the world. Taylor Swift has made $1 billion singing the blues, right? There's songs about suffering. Sounds like fun. There's a famous jazz musician named Wynton Marsalis, okay, if you're a jazz nerd. And he says, he has this quote that I think is just great. He says, "The blues says things are bad, but I'm going to be okay." In the Bible, there's a word for the blues. They call it a lament. Look at your neighbor and say, lament. It's kind of a fancy Bible-y sounding word, right? Okay. It basically means the blues, okay? Laments are pretty common in the Bible. In fact, there's a whole book called Lamentations. Another book in the Bible that people are a little bit more familiar with are the Psalms. You guys heard of the Psalms, right? When I think of the Psalms, I generally think of songs of praise. But if you actually check out the book, there's a lot of laments. In fact, there are 150 Psalms. 53 of them are Psalms of lament, or sometimes they call them Psalms of protest. It's over a third of the largest book of the Bible are these laments. Let's listen to someone smarter than me talk about this. This video we're going to watch, this is a guy named Dr. John Goldengay, and he's an Old Testament scholar explaining what a psalm of protest or a psalm of lament is all about. Listen carefully. He's got kind of like a British accent, and occasionally he's a little bit hard to understand, so try to focus and stay with him.
A psalm of protest is one in which an individual or the people of God are saying to God, things are not working out the way they're supposed to. You're not behaving as God in the way that you should behave as God. What's going on? Are you asleep? And one of the things that I love about them most is the extraordinary freedom that they mean that people have in their relationship with God. There's a kind of paradox about it because Christians often talk about God being their Father and talk as if we get a whole new freedom in Christ in relating to a Father. And yet they don't have actually as much freedom in relation to God as those Old Testament guys did, which is kind of funny and sad at the same time. It is the case that the Old Testament doesn't talk to God as Father in the way that the New Testament does, but they actually relate to God as Father with much more freedom than we tend to have in relation to God, or for that matter, in relation to our earthly fathers. I'd like it to be the case, I think it is the case, that my kids could say what they liked to me, and I love the fact that in the Psalms you can say what you like to God and not get in trouble for it. As an example of a psalm of protest, the one that Jesus actually quotes on the cross is not bad. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why have you abandoned me? Why have you left me? Or Psalm 44, which is one that near the end says, are you asleep? What's going on? Or Psalm 88, I like the fact that they are 22 and 44 and 88. I don't know what to make of that, but it's kind of interesting. Psalm 88, which has got nothing positive to say in the entire psalm. It's just, things are terrible. It's terrific to be able to talk to God that way.
When we run into suffering, God wants us to cry out to him. God craves our honesty. And let's be honest, he knows the truth. If we pretend everything is good, he knows we're lying. Check out Psalm 139 if you have time or if you have a Bible here. I don't have time to go through the whole thing, but here's the highlight reel. I'm guessing some of this will be familiar. Go ahead and read this with me. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. And then a little bit later it says this. Where can I go from your... Oh, I read the wrong thing. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Isn't that nice? Oh, you know me so well. Oh, your works are wonderful. And then you get to verse 19, same psalm. Read this with me. If only you, God, would slay the wicked. Away from me, you who are bloodthirsty. God, you are so great. You know everything. Now kill those bloodthirsty evil people. Can you imagine if I got up here and prayed like that? Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all these great kids and their families. Please kill all the evildoers around us. That would probably be my last day of training at Inspire Family Fellowship. You know, I think I'd be back on the job market pretty quickly. But that's what the Bible says. That's in the Bible. I didn't make that up. It's not my fault. Okay? You guys, the guy writing the Psalms wasn't going to pretend with God. He was angry and he let God know. The psalmist could do this because he also knew that God is like a loving father. He wants us to bring our needs, our fears, our hopes, and our pain to him, and he can help us. In Matthew 7, 9 through 11, it says this. It says, which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? There's plenty of evidence in the Bible that tells us that God is good with our laments. If that wasn't enough for you, though, let me give you one more proof that this is okay. Did you know that Jesus laments in the Bible? The guy in the video talked about it a little bit. I feel like if there's anyone in the Bible ever who shouldn't lament, it seems like Jesus shouldn't. I mean, he is the all-good, all-powerful God. He knew exactly what was going on. But when he was hanging on the cross, he said the words, my God, why have you forsaken me? And that's not a random phrase. He's quoting Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night, but I find no rest. You are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one Israel praises. In you, our ancestors put their trust. They trusted and you delivered them. To you, they cried out and were saved. In you, they trusted and were not put to shame. But I am a worm, not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Lamenting is how God lets us be honest with him. So let's take a look at what it makes to make something a lament. Most laments have 5 parts. Okay, and I'm sorry if this feels a little bit like school, but we want to do this right. And we're going to use Psalm 4 as sort of like an example along the way. Okay? So all laments kind of have these 5 things in them. The first thing is it starts by identifying the Lord as the person that you're trying to talk to. In verse 1 of Psalm 4, it says, answer me when I call to you, my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Have mercy on me and hear my prayer. Who is he talking to? God, right? Hello? Are we still awake? Everybody blink like 3 times. Or reboot your brain, okay? I know I'm talking a lot. We're getting there, okay? The psalm is addressed to God. Next, a psalm identifies a problem and asks for help. In verse 2, it says, how long will you people turn my glory into shame? How long will you love delusions and seek false gods? In the psalm, the problem is the people around him are not being faithful, and it bugs him. Next, the lament will talk about how the author trusts in the Lord. Know that the Lord has set apart his faithful servant for himself. The Lord hears when I call him. This part is important. See, God doesn't want us to whine. He's not interested in grumbling, okay? He's interested in a relationship with us. And that's why this part of the lament is so important, because it shows that you understand that even though you are unhappy, you acknowledge that he is God and you are not, that we must trust him, even if we don't like what's happening. Okay, the fourth part is where you ask God to help solve the problem. Basically, this is where you get to ask God to do something. This is my favorite part, okay? God, what are you going to do? In verse 4 through 6 of Psalm 4, it says, tremble and do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. He's telling the people what they can do to restore themselves. Offer the sacrifices of the righteous and trust in the Lord. Many, Lord, are asking, who will bring us prosperity? Let the light of your face shine on us. Fill my heart with joy when their grain and new wine abound. And then the final portion of a lament is a statement of praise or thanksgiving. It says in verse 8, "In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." This again is really important because it protects us from whining, okay? We don't want to whine. And it maintains worship of God and acknowledge that we are not God and that he's in control. Okay, I'm sure you're ready for me to stop talking. I'm done talking mostly for a while. So this is the fun part. We're actually going to write laments tonight, okay? So Carol, you and your team and your people can come up. They're going to pass out cards to you, and there's pens and pencils, and if you've got something to write on, you can do that. So basically what we're entering now is the pop quiz portion. Were you paying attention, okay? What I'm putting up on the screen, and we're going to leave this up here for a few minutes, is 2 ways that you can write a lament, okay? The first one I call it the fill-in-the-blank version. All you have to write on your card is the sentence there, and then you fill in the blank at the end. Does that make sense? It's like a Mad Lib. You can make up your own lament that way. If you're interested in making it a little bit more personal, if you're interested in going a little bit deeper, the instructions on the left is basically just the 5 different parts. Guys, the rules on this are not tight. I am not an English teacher. I'm not going to grade this. There's no pens involved. There's no red ink. But try to get all of those things in there and have a real honest conversation with God. Before you go too far, when you're done with this, Pastor Ernie and Pastor Randy and I, we have baskets around here somewhere. Oh, Randy's got them. And we're going to spread out. We want you to bring us your laments when you've written it, okay? And if you want to put your name on it, you are welcome to do that. If you want to stay anonymous, you can stay anonymous and not put your name on it. But what we are going to do over the next week is we are going to go through them and we are going to pray these laments on your behalf, okay? We want to partner with you in whatever it is that you're suffering or whatever you're dealing with, and we're going to lift those up to God. And I think that's it. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay? And by the way, adults, you need to do this too, okay? I know adults suffer from time to time, okay? So you're not above this. So go ahead and writing. While you're doing that, the band's going to play a song. If you want to sit and listen for just a minute and get yourself in the mode, that's just fine. When you have turned in your lament, just go back to your spot and the band will finish the song and we'll get back to worship in a minute. But go ahead and take a couple minutes and write while the band plays the song.
This is so heavy, and it's bringing me to my knees. And I'm crying now, Lord, I need you now to come and see about me. Why is this life so hard? Why do you seem so far? But if this cup won't pass, help me to stay steadfast. Let your will be done. You get the glory. You get the glory from this. You get the glory from this. As long as you get the glory from me, you get the glory. You get the glory from me. You get the glory from this. No matter what I have to go through in this world, as long as you get the glory from me. This is my cross to bear. This is my story to tell. And no matter what I've gone through, I've been tried and came out true. So let your will be done. You get the glory. You get the glory from this. Oh, you get the glory glory from this. You get the glory from this. No matter what I have to go through in this world, as long as you get the glory from this. Oh, tribulation, persecution, my affliction, you get the glory from it. In my weakness, in my brokenness, in the crushing, you get the glory from this. On the mountaintop, in the valley low, you are in control. You get the glory from this. On my good days, on my bad days, I will say, you get the glory from this. You get the glory from this. No matter what I have to go through in this world, as long as you get the glory from me.
If you're, if you're still finishing up, that's fine. We'll keep walking around with the baskets. We're going to move back into like regular worship now. But before you do that, you have one more little bit of homework. I can't escape this teacher life, you guys. I want you to share your lament with somebody this week. Okay? It might be a family member, it might be a friend, someone you trust, someone you know cares about you. And if you're sitting here and you're feeling like, I can't tell anybody about this, nobody cares for me, or there's no one that I trust enough, I want you to look around the room. This is Inspire Family Fellowship. And you can't put family in the name if we don't take care of each other. Okay? I guarantee you there's someone in this room who would love to hear from you and would love to lament with you. And it might be one of the pastors, it might be one of your youth leaders, it might be the friend sitting next to you, it might be your parents sitting behind you. If you really can't think of anybody, before you leave today, find somebody in this room and say, hey, can I call you later this week? And lament together. It's how God intends us to process suffering. That was his plan. And then part 2 of your homework is I want you to look for someone suffering this week. You know it's there. It's in the lunchroom, okay? It's definitely in like AP classes, okay? And I want you to lament for somebody this week, okay? Ask them how they're doing and mean it and talk to them. And again, adults, this is you too. This is not just about the kids. We are called to take care of each other and to help each other, right? When the service is done, I'm going to be hanging out over here. If you want to come talk to me, if you want to pray, I would love to pray a lament with you. I know you just turned them in, but we can talk about it. That'd be great. But before you leave, connect with somebody and make sure you've got a plan to get together and lament. Sound good? Love you all. Have a great week. Ty, let's worship.
Come on up and join us.
Thank you.
and still be at peace because of the gifts that you have given us, the promise of heaven, the promise of salvation, the promise of everlasting life and everlasting love. It's in your mighty name that all of this is possible. If the world is here to worship you, if the universe is here to worship you, then Lord, so will I. It's in your mighty name that we worship. Amen.
So alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. If creation still obeys you, so will I. So
Have a great week.